Smugglers keep coming up with smart ways to move their illegal wares, and these are some of the smartest in history. Skin flaps. It's not so hard to imagine that people would hide drugs under the rolls or flaps of skin on their tummy, neck, or thighs, especially if they have excess fat. But what you wouldn't believe is someone who would go so far as to hide drugs in the foreskin of his I don't know if that's smart or just unhygienic. Tree cigarettes. In 2015, a huge smuggling attempt was foiled by immigrant authority and the Ukrainian border. A shipment that was conveying tree trunks and logs of wood from Russia to the United Kingdom was suspiciously mismatched in weight. After cutting into some of the tree trunks, over 25,000 packs of cigarettes were discovered cleverly hidden within 55 trunks. Toupee Cocaine. When a Colombian man tries to come up with a clever way of smuggling cocaine, he decides to use his head, literally, by hiding the drug in his toupee. But for some reason, he didn't account for the very obvious bump, nor his inability to keep calm. And that's how the authorities busted him with 503 grams of cocaine. Carrier pigeons. Ever since a pigeon was caught with a tiny backpack full of ketamine worth thousands of dollars in Kuwait, authorities have added the innocent avians to the list of suspicious personnel to look out for. There were also cases of pigeon smugglers in a Colombian prison in Costa Rica with no way of tracing the geniuses behind the idea. Victor Swartz. Probably the oldest person ever to be caught smuggling, the 91-year-old was caught while traveling from India to Australia with a gift package of soaps, which, unknown to him, contained 4.5 kilograms of cocaine. After explaining his situation and some investigation, Victor was released for being an unfortunate victim of a clever drug peddling mastermind. Ammo truck. In Brownsville, Texas, a special investigation unit came across a truck slated for export to Mexico and noticed something off about it. From the sealed tailgate to the modded bedliner, they proceeded to confiscate the truck for investigation and tore it apart to find thousands of different loose ammunitions, some magazines, and a few guns. Border fence. Illegal immigrants have always found smart ways of getting across the border, and one of these methods is driving over the fence. Literally, it's hard to tell if anyone has completely succeeded using this method before, as the last group that made it over the fence was caught shortly after. This one, however, never made it across. Hummingbirds and Privates. Animal cruelty is one thing, but attempting to smuggle more than a dozen sedated hummingbirds strapped to the inside of a man's pants is a whole new level, albeit a smart one. Funny enough, the man would have probably gotten away with it if the birds' beaks weren't poking at his privates, causing him to squirm a lot. Enrique Aguilar. Enrique deserves some credit for coming up with an insanely smart idea of crossing the US-Mexico border disguised as a car seat. Yep, you heard right. He hollowed out a car seat and built special frames to sustain his shape after he crawled in. But where did things go wrong? He grunted when an officer sat on him. Rik Luytjes. Perhaps one of the smartest smugglers of all time is Rik Luytjes. His immense skills in piloting airplane mechanics and modification transitioned him from running an honest business to being the most sought-out drug mover by drug dealers and the authorities. Before his conviction, he was responsible for smuggling tons of cocaine worth millions of dollars. Cocaine Jesus. Smuggling drugs through statues isn't unheard of for authorities, but the officers at Laredo were definitely surprised when they found 3 kilograms of cocaine stuffed inside a Jesus statue. Even more surprising was the fact that it belonged to a 60-year-old man who paid a lady $80 to push it across borders. Maria and Juan. Maria visited her husband Juan, who had been jailed for illegal weapons possession. On her way out, she was seen struggling with the suitcase she brought in and noticeably anxious. The officers wasted no time checking her luggage only to find her husband curled up inside. Needless to say, she ended up joining her husband in prison. Snake pushers. Although snakes aren't the most beloved animal on the planet, it's a bit disheartening to hear about 223 snakes dying thanks to drug smugglers. Cause of death? The insertion of 80 pounds of cocaine, which caused a lot of trauma for the snakes. While the idea seemed smart at the time, it wasn't completely foolproof. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.